Hello everyone and welcome to my, another haul video for December. This one is just my general December haul. There will be one more haul video and that'll be specific to Christmas gifts. So these ones are just books that I got because they're the first in a series where I had received from book boxes like the fifth book in a series, or for Christmas gifts, like the second in a series. So or I had read a book and wanted to get the next book to continue the series type of a situation. Or some book club books. Or books, and also some books for that I have selected for Autism Reads. The link to that is always in the description box. So where we read a book every month by an author that is confirmed to be on the autism spectrum. So it's kind of a mishmash. So these will just not be Christmas gifts. These are just kind of general books that I received in December. So let's go ahead and get into this because I do have a bit to show you. So the first book on my stack here is Too Hot to Handle by Tessa Bailey. And this is one of the cases where I received a book where it's like the third book in a series, but I want the first one before I even read the third book. So when rescue looks a whole lot like trouble. The road trip was definitely a bad idea. Having already flambéed her culinary career beyond recognition, Rita Clarkson is now stranded in who knows where, New Mexico. Hey, all right. With a busted-ass car and her 3 temperamental siblings who she hasn't seen in years. When rescue shows up, 6 feet plus of charming hotness on a motorcycle, Rita's pretty certain she's gone from the frying pan into the fire. Jasper Ellis has a bad boy reputation in this town, and he loathes it. The moment he sees Rita, though, Jasper knows he's about to be sorely tempted. There's something real between them, something raw, and Jasper has only a few days to show Rita that he isn't just for tonight. He's forever. Next up, I have Only When It's Us by Chloe Liese. Let's see. Here we go. From the moment Willa Sutter sat next to Ryder in class, she made it clear that she hates his guts. Her reason is a mystery, but its outcome suits him fine. Willa is the feisty, tempting chaos he doesn't need in his quiet, tidy life. She's the next generation of women's soccer. Wild hair, bee-stung lips, and a temper that makes the devil seem friendly. He'll leverage her hate as long as possible to keep his distance. When Willa asked Ryder Bergman if she could borrow his lecture notes, the silent, surly mountain man ignored her. Ryder is an arrogant, infuriating, flannel-wearing enigma. Mangy beard, frayed ball cap that hides his eyes, and a stubborn refusal to acknowledge her existence. But Willa's never backed down from a challenge. Forced to work together on their final project, Willa and Ryder began a game of pranks and practical jokes, both determined to emerge as the champion. But once they catch unexpected feelings, victory begins to mean something else, winning each other's hearts. Oh, and I didn't know this. He has a hearing aid. So we have either deaf or hard of hearing representation. So that'll be cool. Oh, and I dropped it. Okay, this next one I'm not going to put in my growing stack here because this one has to go up to my room. I got this one to fulfill a certain prompt for January for one of those ones where it's one prompt a month. And I think this one was where there's one prompt a month. And I think this one is, I don't remember the prompt, but I do believe it's like black horror. And it has to do with a haunted house or something like that. Anyway, this one's The Good House, and this is by Tananarive Do. So I got this one specifically for that. Let's see, it says, the home that belonged to Angela Toussaint's late grandmother is so beloved that townspeople in Sacagawea, Washington, call it the Good House. But that all changes one summer when an unexpected tragedy takes place behind its closed doors, and the Toussaint's family history and future is dramatically transformed. Angela has not returned to the good house since her son, Corey, died there 2 years ago. But now Angela is finally ready to return to her hometown and go beyond the grave to unearth the truth about Corey's death. Could it be related to a terrifying entity Angela's grandmother battled 7 decades ago? And what about the other senseless calamities that Sacagawea has seen in recent years? Has Angela's grandmother, an African-American woman reputed to have powers, put a curse on the entire community? It says this is a thrilling exploration of secrets, lies, and divine inspiration. It will haunt readers long after its chilling conclusion. So I got this one, again, specifically for a prompt for Black horror that I'm trying to do. Okay. And this one is for Autism Reads for later on in the year. And this one is Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. Welcome to a God-fearing community with a heart of gold. Nestled high up in the mountains is Camp Damascus, the self-proclaimed most effective gay conversion camp in the country. Here, a life free from sin awaits, but the secret behind that success is anything but holy. I hate the thought, and I know they existed, and I hope none of them exist, but it wouldn't surprise me if they still exist, are these conversion camps. I think they're ridiculous. So I'm going to kind of create a separate pile for that. Okay, this is another one of those ones where this is the first in the series because I received later on in the series. This one is The Summer We Fell by Elizabeth O'Rourke. Let's see. He was my boyfriend's best friend, the bane of my existence. I wanted to hate Luke Taylor. I did hate him. I just never hated him enough. Now, a decade later, tragedy has brought us back to the place where it all happened. My best times and my worst. Our lives have changed, but that pull between us is just as strong as ever. Only this time, it's more dangerous too. This next one is also for Autism Reads, and this one is Izzy at the End of the World by K.A. Reynolds. Ever since Izzy Wilder's mom died, I gotta keep an eye out on the time. Let's see. Okay, ever since Izzy Wilder's mom died, she wanted life to feel normal. She plays video games with her little sister, helps her grandparents around the house, and takes care of her best dog, Akka. I'm guessing that's how that's said. But losing her mom is far from normal, and for Izzy, who is autistic, it feels like the end of the world. When mysterious lights flash across the mountains outside Izzy's house one night, and suddenly everyone except her and Akka seem to have disappeared in an instant, Izzy is more alone than ever. But Izzy is a fighter, and she won't lose anyone else in her family, even if it means battling terrifying gray, ugly monsters and decoding cryptic messages that seem a lot like her mom talking to her from beyond the grave. In the face of disaster, Izzy and Akka embark on an epic adventure filled with nail-biting suspense, unexpected allies, and life's greatest mysteries as they uncover the true endurance of the human spirit and save the world. Okay, and this is the first book in a series, because I got like this, I think this one I got like the 7th or 8th book from the Book Grocer Advent. So this one is Footsteps in the Dark, and I love this edition. I love how it looks. So I hope I'm able to get all of this whole series. If I like this enough to continue the series, I'm hoping I'm able to get them all in this edition. A Country House Mystery by Georgette. Higher Footsteps in the Dark. What begins as an adventure soon becomes a nightmare. Locals claim it is haunted and refuse to put a single toe past the front door. But to siblings Peter, Celia, and Margaret, the priory is nothing more than a rundown estate inherited from their late uncle, and the perfect setting for a much-needed holiday. But when a murder victim is discovered in the drafty priory halls, the once unconcerned trio begins to fear that the ghostly rumors are true, and they are not alone after all. With a killer on the loose, will they find themselves the next victims of a supernatural predator, or will they uncover a far more corporeal culprit? I have a tongue twister there. This next one is part of a book club. This is actually part of 2 book clubs I would like to participate in. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I recently, like yesterday, joined Gavin's Patreon, and this is the selection for that. So this will cover 2 book clubs. The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. Tao is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with just her trusty mule for company. She tells only small fortunes, whether it will hail next week, which boy the barmaid will kiss, when the cow will calve. She knows from bitter experience that big fortunes come with big consequences. Even if it's a lonely life, it's better than the one she left behind. But a small fortune unexpectedly becomes something more when a semi-reformed thief and an ex-mercenary recruit her into their desperate search for a lost child. Soon, they're joined by a baker with a need, K-N-E-A-D, a need for adventure, and of course, a slightly magical cat. Tao starts down a new path with companions and as big-hearted as her fortunes are small. But as she lowers her walls, the shadows of her past close in, and she'll have to decide whether to risk everything to preserve the family she never thought she could have. So that sounds really sweet. So, okay, so I'm putting this one off to the side because I need to put that in my room. Okay, this next one is another one where I got later on in the series from a book box. And this one's the first one. So this one is the Quiche of Death. It's the first in the Agatha Raisin Mystery Series by M.C. Beaton. Putting all her eggs in one basket, Agatha Raisin gives up her successful PR firm, sells her London flat, and settles in for an early retirement in the quiet village of Carsley. But she soon finds her life of leisure isn't all it's cracked up to be. Bored, lonely, and used to getting her way, she enters a local baking contest. Surely, a blue ribbon for the best quiche will make her the toast of the town. But her recipe for social advancement sours when the judge, Mr. Cummings Brown, not only snubs her entry but also falls over dead. After the quiche's secret ingredient turns out to be poison, she must reveal the unsavory truth. That is, Agatha has never baked a thing in her life. In fact, she bought her entry ready-made from the upper crust London quichery. Gathering the nerves of several Carsley residents, she is soon receiving sinister notes. Oh, grating on the nerves, not gathering the nerves. Grating on the nerves of the residents. Okay. Has her cheating and meddling landed her in hot water, or are the threats related to the suspicious death? It may mean the difference between egg on her face and a coroner's tag on her toe. So this sounds like a cozy mystery series. Looking forward to that. So, yeah. This next one I got because I had to get some cat food and I wanted it to come the next day. It was one of those things that, hey, if you order an extra $10 or whatever it was, it'll be delivered early the next morning. I thought, why not? Especially when I saw this was on the list. I've had my eye on it. And that is Immortal Dark by Tigest Girma. It says, no soul can enter without an invitation. And under the dust jacket on this one, nothing on the back. The spine is the red foiling, and then the front also has foiling. It says, seek mind above blood, and if you must bleed, use it as ink. And pages and pages for the back. And I believe, if I remember correctly, this is a vampire book. And there's the author. It began long before my time, but something has always hunted our family. Orphaned heiress Kidan Adane grew up far from the arcane society she was born into, where human bloodlines gain power through vampire companionship. There we go, vampires. Okay. When her sister June disappears, Keaton is convinced a vampire stole her, but the very vampire bond to their family, the cruel yet captivating Cesenos Sagad. To find June, Keaton must infiltrate the elite Uxley University, where she must survive living with Cesenos, even as he does everything he can to drive her away. It doesn't matter that Cesenos' wickedness speaks to Keaton's own violent nature and tempts her to surrender to a life of darkness. She must find her sister and kill Cesenos at all costs. When a murder mirroring June's disappearance shakes Uxley, Keaton sinks further into the ruthless underworld of vampires, risking her very soul. There, she discovered a centuries-old threat, and June could be at the center of it. To save her sister, Keaton must bring Uxley to its knees and either break free from the horrors of her own actions or embrace the dark entanglements of love and the blood it requires. So, there we go. It sounds good. It's vampires. And that's all I need to know. Is that it's vampires. Okay, these next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all from the same author, and that's because I'm trying to collect all of these authors' works. These are all secondhand books. Some of them from thrift books, and some of them were not available on thrift books, but I did find them secondhand on Amazon. And the author is RL Stine, and these ones are RL Stine's Seniors, a Fear Street series. So this is a Fear Street spin-off. And these are numbers 2 through 6. So I have Into Deep. Let's see. The Doomed Class, the class that won't survive senior year. That's the furthest thing from Kenny Klein's mind. He's too busy with his camp counselor job and way too interested in Melly, the hot new girl he just met. Kenny has only 2 problems: the strange boy in his group, the one that always wears a mask, and the fact that someone at the camp is trying to kill him. Number 3 is The Thirst. Senior year is a killer, especially this year at Shadyside High. It's the first day of school, and already the prediction that the seniors will die is coming true. A cheerleader is dead, drained of all her blood. Could this be the work of a vampire? A psycho killer? Dana Palmer and her twin sister Deidre need to find out soon, because all signs show that they will be the next to die. Number 4 is No Answer. Let's see, and then I can't read what's under the sticker there, so moving on, it says, her dead sister Justine really did contact her through a psychic hotline, and Clarissa discovers her sister's death was not an accident, it was murder. Now Clarissa realizes that another Shadyside senior is about to die, and it could be her. Next I have Last Chance. Caught. Mr. Morley is so nice when he catches Mary O'Connor stealing a test. He doesn't tell, he doesn't fail her. She just has to do him a favor. But helping Mr. Morley isn't as easy as it seems. In fact, it could kill her. And the last senior book by RL Stine I have is The Gift. I still have quite a bit more to collect. It says, Jennifer is not herself. Ever since she got the antique necklace, she has been living in a nightmare. She believes the necklace is forcing her to commit terrible crimes. But will it make her kill? And these ones, I'm going to just kind of set to the side, because if I stack them there, I'll set them behind here. Because if I stack them on top of that, the other books are bigger, and then it's going to wobble and fall, and I don't want that. Okay, this next one I need to set off to the side, because this is a book club pick that I want to get to in January for Olivia Reads a Latte's Patreon. And this one is Empire of Shadows by Jacqueln Benson. Nice Victorian ladies don't run off to find legendary lost cities. One trifling little arrest shouldn't have cost Ellie Mallory her job, but it's only the latest in a line of injustices facing any educated woman with archaeological ambitions. When Ellie stumbles across the map to a mysterious ancient city, she knows she's holding her chance to revolutionize pre-Columbian history. There's just one teensy complication. A ruthless villain wants it, and Ellie is all that stands in his way. To race him to the ruins and avoid being violently disposed of, she needs the help of maverick surveyor Adam Bates, a snake-wrangling rogue who can't seem to keep his dratted shirt on. But there's more than Ellie's scholarly reputation and life on the line. Her enemies aren't just looters. They're after an arcane secret rumored to lie in the heart of the ruins, a mythical artifact with a power that could shake the world. Between stealing trousers, plummeting over waterfalls, and trying not to fall in love with her machete-wielding partner, will Ellie be able to stop the Oracle of the Lost Empire from falling into the wrong hands? Next is book number 2 in a series, and this one is Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. Let's see. A comet the color of blood and flame cuts across the sky, and from the ancient citadel of Dragonstone to the forbidding shores of Winterfell, chaos reigns. 6 factions struggle for control of a divided land and the Iron Throne of the 7 Kingdoms, preparing to stake their claims through tempest, turmoil, and war. It is a tale in which brother plots against brother, and the dead rise to walk in the night. Here a princess masquerades as an orphan boy. A knight of the mind prepares a poison for a treacherous sorceress, and wild men descend from the mountains of the moon to ravage the countryside against a backdrop of incest and fratricide. Alchemy and murder, victory may go to the men and women possessed of the coldest steel and the coldest hearts. For when kings clash, the whole land trembles. Next on my stack is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faries by Heather Fawcett. I really like this cover. And this one is part of a book club later on in the year. Like, I think within February or March, something like that. Same thing with the book you'll see after this one. Okay. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make small talk at a party, or even get invited to one. And she prefers the company of her books, her dog, Shadow, and the fair folk to other people. So when she arrives in the hard-scrabble village of Harfensvik, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival Wendell Bambleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the Hidden Ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside the town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bambleby, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart. Now this next one is also part, and I think that one's for Olivia Reads a Latte, as well as this one for the Patreon book club. And this one is The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. I like the cover. Let's see. A struggling event planner and a sinfully hot astronaut must decide if their fake relationship is worth the shot at happily ever after in this starry debut. Risk-averse event planner Amory Pierce is jobless, newly single, and about to lose her apartment. With no choice but to gamble on her shaky startup, the last thing she needs is to run into her smug ex and his new, less complicated girlfriend at Amory's favorite coffee shop. Panicking, she pretends to be dating the annoyingly sexy man she met by spilling Americano all over his abs. He plays along, for a price. Half the single men in Houston claim to be astronauts, but Vincent Rogers turns out to be the real deal. What starts as a one-off lie morphs into a plan for the 3 months leading up to his mission. Amory will play Vincent's doting partner in front of his loving but overly invested family. In exchange, she gets a rent-free room in his house so she can put every penny towards her struggling business. What Amory doesn't plan for is Vincent's gravitational pull. When her mind tells her a future with this astronaut is too unpredictable, her heart says he's exactly what she needs. As their time together counts down, Amory must decide if she'll settle for the safe life or shoot for the stars. That sounds cute. Okay, this next up is another instance where I ended up getting in a book box later on in the series, and this one's the first. This one is Every Dead Thing by John Connolly. It says it's a Charlie Parker thriller. A guilty man is a dangerous one. Okay. Return to the beginning. Charlie Parker is a former NYPD detective shattered by the brutal slaying of his wife and child. The traveling man is a serial killer, an artist of death, making human bodies his canvas and taking faces as his prize. Now a man who has lost everything is hunting a murderer with nothing to fear. Nothing except Parker. I like it when synopsises are short and to the point. Okay, next up is book number 2 in a series where I really enjoyed the first one, and this one is Apprentice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Let's see. Notice to staff, there's been a disturbing increase in cheeriness, sprightly behavior, and overall optimism of late. Please resume your former dark, ominous terrors at your earliest convenience. Management. Evie Sage has never been happier to be the assistant to the villain. Who would have thought that working for an outrageously handsome, bad for his brand, evil overlord would be so rewarding? Still, the business of being bad is demanding. The forces of good are annoyingly persistent, and said forbidding boss is somewhat out of evil office. But Renadon is in grave trouble, and all signs, Kingsley's included, point to catastrophe. Something peculiar is happening with the kingdom's magic, and it's made the villain's manor vulnerable to their enemies, including their nemesis, the king. Now it's time for Evie to face her greatest challenge, protecting the villain's lair, all of his nefarious works, and maybe, provided no one finds out, the entire kingdom. No pressure, Evie. It's time to step out of her comfort zone and learn new skills. Like treason, dagger work, conspiring with the enemy. It's all so delightfully fun. But what happens when the assistant to the villain is ready to become his apprentice? I guess we will find out. Next is another one where I had to get the first book because I got one later on in the series, and this one is Faultless Love by K.G. Fletcher. Finally. He sacrificed his life for hers. He's a conventional felon out on parole for a crime he didn't commit. She's the girl who put her life on hold while he was away. Can the two pick up right where they left off? He never should have gone on that beer run. If he'd stayed at the park kissing Robin by the bonfire, his life would have turned out totally different. But actions have consequences. The slam of the judge's gavel echoing the dark knell of his freedom, or the death knell of his freedom, excuse me. Let's see, now he's back in his hometown, starting his life over at his family's Christmas tree farm and winery. Running into Robin wasn't part of the plan. She leaves him pining and reckless to see her again. But things permanently changed after that night so many years ago, or so he thought. With Robin, he feels understood, wanted, and strong, things he hadn't felt in a long time. When she's in his arms, he's tempted to trust again, to love again, to fly free again. But deep down, he's petrified. Will the love they share be enough to overcome the past, or will his second chance at happily ever after implode? Okay. All right. Again, I think this one's the first in a series, and this is Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead. Lee Stone is a 21st century woman. She kicks butt at her job and as a communications director at a woman-run electric car company. That's better than Tesla, thank you. And after work, she is stoner, drinking guys under the table and never letting any of them get too comfortable in her bed. That's because Liese learned one big lesson: never trust men. 4 major heartbreaks set her straight. From her father cheating on her mom all the way to Ben Lauderman in grad school. He wasn't actually cheating, but she could have sworn he was. So she reciprocated in kind. Then Ben shows up 5 years later, working as a policy expert for the most liberal governor in Texas history, just as Lee is trying to get a clean energy bill rolling. Things get complicated and competitive as Lee and Ben are forced to work together. Tension builds just as old sparks reignite, fanning the flames for a romantic dust-up the size of Texas. Got a little tongue-tied there. Nothing on the book's fault. Okay, this one is the first in a series where I had received the later on in the series with a book box. And this one is Past Crimes by Glenn Eric Hamilton. From the time he was 6 years old, Van Shaw was raised by his Irish immigrant grandfather, Donovan, to be a thief, to boost cars, beat security alarms, crack safes, and burglarize businesses. But at 18, Dono's namesake and protege suddenly broke all ties to that life and the people in it. Van escaped into the military, serving as an elite Army Ranger in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, after 10 years of silence, Dono has asked his grandson to come home to Seattle. Okay, then it's something I'm guessing in Irish. I have no idea how to say it. The translation is, in the book, it says, "Come home if you can." Taking some well-earned leave, Van heads to the Pacific Northwest, curious and a little unnerved by his grandfather's request. But when he arrives at Dono's house in the early hours of the morning, Van discovers the old thief bleeding out on the floor from a gunshot to the head. The last time the two men had seen each other, Dono had also been lying on the floor, with Van pointing a gun at his heart. With a lifetime of tough history between him and the old man, the battle-tested ranger knows the cops will link him to the crime. To clear his name... this one's a long synopsis. Okay. To clear his name and avenge his grandfather, Van must track down the shooter. Odds are strong that Dono knew the person. Was it a greedy accomplice, a disgruntled rival? Driving back into the illicit world he'd sworn to leave behind, Van reconnects with the ruthless felons who knew Dono best. Armed with his military and criminal skills, he follows a dangerous trail of clues that lead him deeper into Dono's life, and closer to uncovering what drove his grandfather to reach out after years of silence. As he plummets back into this violent high-stakes world where right and wrong aren't defined by the law, Van finds that the past is all too, continues on the back, present, and the secrets held by those closest to him are the deadliest of all. Sounds good? Okay, these next two are for autism reads later on in the year, and this one is Chameleon Moon by Roanna Silver. The city of Parole is burning. Like Venice slips into the sea, Parole crumbles into fire. The entire population inside has been quarantined, cut off from the rest of the world and left to die, directly over the open flame. Eye in the sky, a deadly and merciless police force ensures no one escapes, ever. All that's keeping Parole alive is faith in the midst of horrors and death. Trust in the face of desperation and their fantastic, terrifying, and beautiful superhuman abilities. Reagan, stealth and reconnaissance expert with a lizard's scales and snake eyes, is haunted by 10 years of anxiety, trauma, and terror, and he's finally reached his limit. His ability to disappear into thin air isn't enough. He needs an escape, and he'll do anything for a chance. Unluckily for him, Hans, a ghostly boy with a chilling smile, knows just the thing to get one. It starts with a little murder. But instead of ending a man's life, Reagan starts a new one of his own. He turns away from the twisted path and encounters Evelyn, a fearless force on stage and sonic superheroic revolutionary on the streets. Now Reagan has a choice and a chance to not only escape from Parole, but unravel the mystery deep in its burning heart. And most of all, discover the truth about their own entwining pasts. Parole's a rough place to live, but they're not dead yet. If they can survive the imminent cataclysmic disaster, they might just stay that way. Molly Polly. Next for Autism Reads, later on in the year, is Failure to Communicate, written by Kia Sonderby. I could have said that wrong. As the autistic head of the Carpathia's Xeno Liaison Department, Sandry has become an expert in peaceful first contacts and convincing sapient species to join the Stratus System Alliance. The Anne Morelli, however, are as xenophobic as they come, and they are developing a powerful weapon that caught both the attention of the Alliance and their bitter enemies. This time, Sandry's mission is wrought with politics, and the consequences of failure may well be genocide for the Anne Morelli. This next one is part for a book club in January, so I need to set this one off to the side to go back to my room. And this one is The Shining by Stephen King. Jack Torrance's new job at the Overlook Hotel is the perfect chance for a fresh start. As the off-season caretaker at the atmospheric old hotel, he'll have plenty of time to spend reconnecting with his family and working on his writing. But as the harsh winter weather sets in, the idyllic location feels ever more remote and more sinister, and the only one to notice the strange and terrible forces gathering around the Overlook is Danny Torrance, a uniquely gifted 5-year-old. These next two are for Autism Reads, and this one is Unidentified Suburban Object by Mike Jung. The next person who compares Chloe Cho with famous violinist Abigail Yang is going to hear it. Chloe has just about had it with people not knowing the difference between someone who's Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. She's had it with people thinking that everything she does well, getting good grades, winning first chair in the orchestra, etc., is because she's Asian. Of course, her own parents don't want to have anything to do with her Korean background. Anytime Chloe asks them a question, they change the subject. They seem perfectly happy to be the only Asian family in town. It's only when Chloe's with her best friend, Shelley, that she doesn't feel like a total alien. Then a new teacher comes to town, Mrs. Lee. She's Korean American, and for the first time, Chloe has a person to talk to who seems to understand completely. For Miss Lee's class, Chloe finally gets to explore her family history, but what she unearths is light years away from what she expected. And then I have The Many Mysteries of the Finkel Family. When 12-year-old Laura Finkel starts her very own detective agency, FIASCCO, Fiasco, Finkel Investigation Agency Solving Consequential Crimes Only, she does not want her sister, Caroline, involved. She and Caroline don't have to do everything together, but Caroline won't give up, and when she brings Laura the firm's first mystery, Laura relents, and the mysteries start building up. But soon, a new mystery emerges, a mystery about Caroline. Caroline normally uses her tablet to talk, but now she's busily texting a new friend. Laura can't figure out what the two of them are up to, but it can't be good. And Caroline doesn't like Laura's snooping. She's supposed to be solving other people's mysteries, not spying on Caroline. As Fiasco and the Finkel family mysteries spin out of control, can Caroline and Laura find a way to be friends again? And this next one I got for Christmas, book number 2 in this series from my mom. She didn't realize it was a series, so I did order book number 1. And the one that I ordered is Murder at the Breakers by Alyssa Maxwell. And I think this is a cozy mystery. Newport, Rhode Island, August 1895. She may be a less well-heeled relation, but as second cousin to millionaire patriarch Cornelius Vanderbilt, 21-year-old Emma Cross is on the guest list for a grand ball at the Breakers, the Vanderbilts' summer home. She also has a job to do, report on the event for the society page of the Newport Observer. But Emma observes much more than glitz and gaiety when she witnesses a murder. The victim is Cornelius Vanderbilt's financial secretary, who plunges off a balcony faster than falling stock prices. Emma's black sheep brother, Brady, is found in Cornelius's bedroom, passed out next to a bottle of bourbon and stolen plans for a new railroad line. Brady is barely Well, let me start that over. Brady has barely come to before the police have arrested him for the murder. But Emma is sure someone is trying to railroad her brother and resolves to find the real killer at any cost. This next one is for Autism Reads, and that is Hoshi and the Red City Circuits. Due to their unique... Had that in the wrong stack. Okay. Due to their unique neurology, only the enslaved operator caste can program the quantum computers that run 26th century Red City. When 3 of the cast are ritually murdered, it's up to private investigator Hoshi Archie herself, a recently liberated operator, to help the police solve the case. Things get complicated when one of the victims turns out to be Hoshi's ex-girlfriend, and power-hungry bureaucrats and old rivals stir up new problems. An amoral alien may even be involved. To unwind the plot to take over the city, Hoshi must decipher a deadly computer program and learn to communicate with the alien before it's too late for the next victim and the city. And the last 2 books in this haul are part of a series continuation. I thought I would be able to get to book number 6 or something like that in this series, but I didn't. And then the other prompt for December was to read another book by that same author. I just ran out of time. But I am absolutely loving this series, so I'm going to be collecting this series anyway. So I have number 7, and this is a very, very shiny cover, and it is Dork Diaries number 7 by Rachel Renee Russell, and it is Tales from Not So Glam TV Star. Very shiny. Nikki's reality TV show nightmare. Lights, camera, Nikki, and then that's crossed out, says Mackenzie. Uh-oh. That's the synopsis. And these are told in diary format, hence Dork Diaries. And then number 8 is Tales from Not So Happily Ever After. Once upon a dork. Wait, why do all these fairy tale characters Nikki's running into seem so familiar? Let's see. This one takes place... This one starts on April 1st. Number 7 starts... Because these tend to go over the span of a month, is what I've noticed. March. So, March and April. Anyway. So that is my December book haul that does not include books from book boxes. Now these do include the first book in the series, where in a book box I will have gotten like the 3rd or 6th, etc. Or their series continuations and pre-orders, books for Autism Reads, that type of a thing. So there will be one more December book haul, but I will label that specifically as Christmas book haul. So let me know, have you read any of these books or books from any of these authors? Do any of these books sound particularly intriguing to you? Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.